And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Well, Wednesday morning's flying weather showing 3 bands of IFR here, one along the west coast, another one out over the central Bering Sea on down to the Aleutians, and the third one out here over the western Aleutians. Also a band of IFR up along the Arctic coast. A lot of VFR in the interior, some marginal stuff here over the Tanana Valley down into the Alaska range there, and some marginal VFR, southern Kenai Peninsula and covering Kodiak Island as well as the Gulf of Alaska, but VFR for the southeast coast. And it stays mostly VFR for the Panhandle through the afternoon. In fact, a big improvement here over the Gulf of Alaska, becoming VFR for Kodiak Island. Some lingering marginal VFR in the afternoon with some shower development here along the Alaska range in areas there. Probably won't be solid like it shows here, but areas of marginal VFR possible over the mountains tomorrow afternoon. A little bit of IFR there over the southwestern North Slope and marginal VFR for the Bering Strait. Bering Sea here, big improvement along the west coast, becoming VFR for Nunivak Island. Holding on to IFR there over Bristol Bay to the Alaska Peninsula, and then from Atka westward, IFR. Moving on to Thursday morning, huge area of IFR now covering the southwestern Bering Sea, moving eastward there, well past Atka Island. Marginal VFR for the remainder of the Bering Sea right up to the southwest coast, and pushing into the lower Yukon River area here in the morning, covering the Seward Peninsula, IFR, St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait, as well as the Arctic coast. But Brooks Range into the interior, a lot of VFR. Areas of marginal VFR for the Yukon River Flats area down into the Tanana Valley, White Mountains, and the 40-mile country. And then VFR, Cook Inlet, Copper River Basin, Kuskokwim Valley, Bristol Bay, marginal for Kodiak, and some marginal VFR slipping on up into the southern southeast coast. For the afternoon, that pushes a little farther to the north, so northern Panhandle, VFR, southern half, marginal. Pretty good for the Gulf of Alaska, North Gulf Coast, VFR into Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet. Marginal for Kodiak Island, but Fognak Island, VFR, and that'll extend westward there across the mountains into Bristol Bay. The interior looking really good, good VFR all the way up until you get across the Brooks Range and you're back into the IFR for the North Slope and Arctic coast, and some IFR around Cape Newenham westward to the Pribilof Islands, possibly, and then IFR here from the central Aleutians on out to the Komodorskis. And for the passes, Anatuvik, marginal VFR, but optimistically Adigan going for VFR flying tomorrow. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR for Rainy, marginal for Windy, marginal for Isabel, and marginal for Mentasta, especially in the afternoon hours, Tanita as well. Marginal VFR, possible in the afternoon, better in the morning. And for Portage, marginal VFR, marginal also for Chilkoot and White. Freezing levels 2,000 feet here over the interior, and then at the surface all the way up across the Kobuk Valley there, and 4,000 feet just off the south coast of the Panhandle, 4,000 to 6,000 feet southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for icing, not much to look at out here over the Bering Sea. We've got some increasing icing threats here coming into the west central Aleutians there, with the heavier icing, the moderate icing, staying just to the south of the Rat Islands there. And for the interior here, Copper River Basin, maybe back into the northern Sitna Valley and the northern Kuskokwim Valley, mainly along the Alaska Range. There could be some isolated moderate icing there, mixed possibly in the showers in the afternoon that develop, as well as the southeast coast. And the jet stream, this big upper level low kind of moving off to the south-southeast a little bit there, and that pushing the jet, keeping it well to the east there in Canada, up to 120 knots out of the south there. Otherwise, we've got northeast winds 55 knots along the Yukon River up here in the northeast, and then a strong northwest jet at about 135 knots blowing across the western or the central Aleutians. And at 9,000 feet, northwest 40 knots, Adak and Atka. That's about it. Pretty light winds over the Bering Sea, light winds over the interior into the Gulf of Alaska, and light winds for the southeast coast. 3,000 feet, not much different. East winds maybe up to 35 knots to the central Arctic coast. Otherwise light and variable over the interior, as well as the Bering Sea here into the Gulf of Alaska and the Panhandle, pretty light winds. 35 knot winds here for the central Aleutians and maybe the Fox Islands. And from there, turbulence-wise, nothing really significant, but look for some isolated moderate here for the eastern Aleutians, Adak and Atka, and also up over the central and eastern Arctic coast.